Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. And this video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager 4932R. This is a replacement head cover for use with the 4500 series rim exit device in satin chrome finish. This is a replacement head cover case only, a head cover for the head case. It's a replacement cover for the head case. Or center case, I've seen it referred to as well. Hager does a pretty nice job at making replacement parts available. And I feel like they have no choice but to do that. Meaning, Hager wants to compete with the big people, and Hager's big people. But if you want to market and run your product on par with the incredibly established names in the business when it comes to exit devices, for instance, the company that invented the exit device, you're going to need to make parts available. And they do. They don't make every part available. You can't tear it down and rebuild springs and clevis pins and E-clips, but you can get the stuff that you're going to need, like a center case or head case cover. This is the 4932R. This is the replacement head cover only in a satin chrome finish. They're saying this is 26D finish, okay? I can tell you that this is non-ferrous, and that tells me that this is likely to be manufactured of zinc. This would be a zinc-based material. It's heavy, gives a good finish, and it's non-ferrous. That tells me it's zinc. Also, what tells me it's zinc is the declaration and the extended description from the manufacturer. Okay, overall height about 8 1/8, 8 1/16. Overall width back here, about 2 13/16. Overall width here, about 3 5/8. Going with an overall projection of about 2 3/8. Okay, and these dimensions are to help determine whether or not this is the proper case for what you're working on. That preparation for the touch bar assembly to come through, that's going to be about 2 1/4 by approximately 2 1/4. 4 screws, 2 here, 2 here. Those are included. Those are like probably the same screws you'd use for an armor front on a mortise lock, which would be 832 by maybe 3/8 flat undercut head, something like that. This features the prep for the latch to come out and the prep for the deadlocking tab to come out. And when you have that exit device closed, that tells me this is probably a fire-rated device. Not necessarily fire-rated, but in fire-rated devices, you'll see that deadlocking tab. So be sure that when that's installed against the strike and the tab is kept inside of the head case, that will prevent the loiding or the latch bolt itself moving back. That would be a hallmark of a fire-rated, of a fire device rather than an exit device. There is a difference there. Okay, now let's move on and look at the information in the extended description. Down below it tells us that it is a 4500 series exit device accessory, designed and engineered for superior performance using fewer moving parts and constructed with die-cast caps and head covers, zinc die casting, narrow style doors in heavy-duty commercial applications. The 4500 is a grade 1 device, meaning life and fire safety requirements, providing a perfect fit for use in commercial office buildings, medical and educational facilities, as well as hospital structures. It is BHMA certified, UL listed for up to 3 hours when you order a fire-rated device. Meets UL specifications for panic hardware as well. So there's 2 different devices we're talking, panic and fire. Those are different devices. You're not to use one on the other. They're not rated for proper application. A non-fire device is not tested for use on fire doors. A fire-rated device has not been tested for just life safety. You know what? I'm sure that that's false. I'm sure that it is. However, it may not be appropriate for your application because of the limitation of manual dogging, perhaps. sold as each. Now, let's take a look at the links in the extended description available to you. Okay, now the links down below here, and this page is likely to look different by the time you're seeing this. There is a link to a document called Datasheet, and that's nothing other than a cut sheet, tear piece out of the catalog should you need to include that in, of course, your submittal set, I suppose, is why you might use that. There is also a link to the how to order, and that is an overview of the entire series itself. So this will tell you if you were ordering an entire device, we place it there. It's not what you're going to use if you need a center case replacement cover, but it's germane to the entire product line, so we place it there. Then there's the link to the product catalog that's here. And the product catalog is handy because you will get, and I just scrolled all the way to the end of the catalog, you're going to get to where you can see these replacement parts. Okay? Starting, at the third to last page, strikes. And there are certainly different strikes for different applications. And of course, because the 4500 series, there's going to certainly be your rim device. There's going to be, of course, your surface vertical rod device as well. So you're certainly going to have different devices based on that sort of application. Pardon me. You're going to have different strikes based on the different exit device you're going to use. So a threshold strike would obviously be a surface vertical rod. Bottom strikes, roller strikes for use with rim devices. This is an overlapping strike, and an overlapping strike is actually referred to in the drawing that we saw earlier here. It's actually referred to here. So what you would have is there's a couple of ways to use the overlapping strike. If you have a pair of doors and you are only installing an exit device on one door, okay, you'll have that latch hanging out. If you forgive this incredibly poor drawing, you can take that surface strike and you can mount it here. Of course, these two pieces would make contact. Let's do it like that. So your surface strike would be applied to the inactive door. The active door is going to swing out. Why you would use it on one door only would be if, and then of course you would use surface bolts or actually what you would probably want to use here would be automatic flush bolts, okay, or manual flush bolts. I would steer away from surface bolts because per code, having hardware applied to the door that you are saying this is not the door to go out, having hardware applied to the door is frowned on and might even be exclusively, it is specifically not permitted. So I would go with manual or automatic flush bolts here. If you go with automatic flush bolts and closers, you're probably going to need, you'll certainly need a coordinator. But you would go with an exit device on one door only when your occupancy permitted it. So if your occupancy required an exit device, but because of the number of people, doesn't require it on both doors. So that's where you could really use an overlapping strike like this. Now, as they also show in the catalog, when you're doing a pair of doors, the nice way to do it, pretend those are equal. Oh boy, let's do that over. The nice way to do it is to basically just have rods on each door. Okay? You have surface vertical rods on each door. Each door can work independently of each other. Okay, and that's nice and clean. However, sometimes people don't want that because it does add to the cost by having two surface vertical rods. And in that application where you have to have an exit device on both doors because of occupancy, you can opt to go with the rim device, but that complicates the subject further, because if you go with that rim device, you are going to have that strike again hanging over into the opening. So if the active door were to close first, if you had an exit device on both doors and you hit both doors and the active door happened to close first, the inactive door is not going to automatically latch. So you have to have a coordinator, and you have to have a carry bar. A carry bar, actually no, you would use a carry bar that would mount to the face of the inactive door and help push the active door open if someone hit the inactive door with the surface vertical rod. So there's other gyrations you have to go through when it would really be, in my opinion, just more elegant to do double door, surface vertical rod, etc. Now, you may not do that because you might have an astragal out here, which means you're going to have a coordinator. But you know, it really comes back the same way. A surface vertical rod device on both doors simply makes life less complicated. You can completely go without a coordinator because these doors, for all intents and purposes, behave independently of each other. Whereas in this arrangement, when you've got a strike that's hanging out into the opening, they don't operate independently of each other. They must be timed correctly. So be mindful if you're using that. It's, you know, people that are using this is when there's a active door only exit device, the other door does not have a panic device. That's either done because of occupancy again or because of economy. And economy and life safety don't go together. They are exclusive of each other. One does not impact the other. So getting back down to where our strikes were, that's that overlapping strike. Now you'll also note that this ridge area here is where the deadlocking tab needs to ride. So you will, you know, in a certain application, this will be at the top. A certain hand, this will be at the top, and you flip it over if you have the other hand. Just as long as that deadlocking tab that's going to be sticking out of here is going to line up with it. And I don't think they give us a head case. Yeah, they don't show us any better parts of any of this material. Okay, so the rest of these strikes are just ancillary strikes. A mortise exit device, they don't make a mortise exit device in this series, so you wouldn't use these. But a mortise style exit device, an exit device with a mortise lock, is a really elegant way to do a single or that double door application, because now you don't have a surface mounted strike on the door. But if you have a surface vertical rod on the inactive, you're probably going to need to look into an open back strike, which this manufacturer does not offer. So be mindful of that. Be sure to order strikes for fire rated devices because they are different. They've been tested with that strike, and that's how they have to be installed. The other parts you can get, obviously, your dogging kit. This would be for non-fire rated doors. Your covers and latch assemblies for top and bottom. Photoluminescent, that's nice. That is required in certain applications by code. That will be obvious in your specifications. Shim kits. Now, where you would use a shim kit is very simply going to be, you have a door, you have a nice piece of glass in it, except that on this kit there is molding on both sides. So now you can't take your exit device and slap it right to the door. You have to have a shim kit that will build the exit device off the face of the door so that you can install it over that. Yeah, you have that little airspace there. The other negative thing about shim kits and exit devices is that on the exterior side of the door, someone may not love looking at the back of that exit device. It's, you know, it does come up. Generally, people will put some thought into the type of exit device they use when they know they can see the exit device from the outside. the last page, the most popular or common parts. Head covers, yes, of course. Now they do indicate they have a mortise exit device. That must be... Maybe I was wrong before. Let's take a look at the how to order. Okay, yeah, I stand completely corrected. You can do an MRT. MRT would be, like I said earlier, a very elegant way to... There we go. I skipped right over it. Very elegant way. There's no latch on the outside. There's nothing to Lloyd. Well, there's you can certainly Lloyd that if you wanted, tamper with it, but it's elegant because it goes with a standard strike preparation in your jam. So really nice, clean way to do it. I'll use mortise exit devices every time. They make the installation look nicer. Another advantage of this style, of mortise style over a rim style, would be expressed as in a standard rim device application. Okay. You're going to put that roller strike, whatever. Don't mean to butcher the drawing, but you get the point. Okay, you get the point. So when you've got this roller strike hanging out here, where do you put your weather stripping? Okay, that's the big problem with roller strikes and where you put the weather stripping, and that's because there will be an interrupt because you have the roller strike installed exactly where it is that you want to have your your weather stripping run down. Okay, couple of ways to skin that cat, and that would be to do a bracket like this, or weather stripping like this. Okay, where you would basically then, so the hardware compatible, that's just a bar of aluminum, 1/4 inch thick, 1.5 wide, whatever it is, 1/4 by 1.5. With the bracket, that's a really cool idea because it solves the problem that way. If you go with the bracket, you have to obviously adjust your backset of your device. If you go with the hardware compatible, you have to adjust your backset. So now, if you have that same roller strike, okay, what you would end up doing is with that hardware compatible, you're going to mount that on there. That's going to seal there. That roller strike is going to go here. Okay, problem solved. You have to adjust your backset on your device template. Or if you're going to go with that fancy bracket, that's really cool. Okay, that's installed here. Your weather stripping is going to run in here, obviously. Your roller strike is going to be out here. Again, you have to adjust your backset by that dimension that is being required here. You've got this allowance plus your material thickness. Okay, I'm sure Hager makes hardware compatible weather stripping. I just pulled up Reese first, not trying to sell Reese over Hager in this video, obviously. I'm quite sure Hager does not make these brackets. Those are very handy, and it might strike you as kind of unimportant to need to adjust for that. Well, I'll tell you this, in a northern climate, you put your hand up here and you're going to feel the cold air screaming through in January. Okay, it matters, and I would consider it I would consider it not best practice to not compensate for that break in the weather stripping that you would be contending with. Okay, so the mortise device. Anyway, to finish that off, that's nice because what happens? Well, what happens is the latch is in here like a normal mortise lock. Okay, nothing to worry about. Anyway, really great way to go. So also at the end of the catalog and the rest of the parts, end caps, super popular in the sense of sell them all the time, because what happens? End caps get damaged. It's just simply the bottom line. They get damaged and they need to be replaced, even though they're die cast. If you open your door to 90 degree and the package delivery service comes through with a rolling cart, or you have a pair of doors and you're sliding out the 1.5-yard dumpster on garbage day and you crack that with a dumpster that weighs 275 pounds, yeah, something's going to give. So these end caps are real common. Extension kits, obviously, if you're installing a door on a device on a taller door. Fire door bolt, what is that? Well, what that is if you were to order a device, let's say surface vertical rod, here we go, surface vertical rod, but you would order it LBR, less bottom rod. So that's going to give you an exit device. That's going to be a vertical rod device, except there will be no bottom rods at all going down to the floor. It will look like this, top rod only. However, code's going to require, your fire rating is going to require that this bottom fire bolt be installed into the inactive door, and that this plastic plug they refer to installed into the active door, so that when the temperature at the opening hits somewhere in the mid 200 degree range, long past the time anyone is standing there, right? A projectile, a pin is going to fire out, which is captive, will burst through that plastic plug, securing the two doors together at the bottom. And that's what that's for. So if you're going to do less bottom rod, you're going to order that fire bolt. And it might even come with it. I would not be surprised if it came with it automatically. Less bottom rod. I don't see that it's automatically included, so be mindful to pick that up separately should it be necessary, which it very likely will be. And let's wrap this video up. Okay, in conclusion, the name Hager is synonymous with a very comprehensive offering of material. Their name, Hager Hinge, that certainly described them, I would imagine, for a very long time. I have an old, and I mean a Hager catalog from the early 1900s, as in pre-World War I. It's not currently uploaded to the site, but someday it will be. And when I do get it scanned and uploaded, it will be under this video to the link to the manufacturer's page, where you'll be able to click on that manufacturer's page and get to those archival catalogs, whatever we have. I actually possess one physically. I just haven't scanned it yet. On that manufacturer's page, you're going to find the product catalog, the old stuff as I just indicated, a link to the manufacturer's website, and all of the Hager products that we sell. People are very loyal to Hager in terms of their client base. The example I give is a client will call and they need a lock. They want a Hager lock, and I know the lead time is 3 weeks. It is. I know that it is. I spoke to Hager. And I say to the client, I need it next week. How quickly can I get it? Well, Hager's told me the lead time's 3 weeks. Oh boy, what are we going to do? Well, here's an option. You can take this other lock. And more times than not, the client says, I'll wait for the Hager lock. So very loyal client base. From a distributor perspective, what Hager tells the distributor is, hey, listen, you can get everything from us on one purchase order. Hinges, door closers, lock sets, exit devices, weather stripping, trim and auxiliary, electrified hardware, accessory hardware like filler plates and whatnot, and an ever-growing, expanding list of other material, residential and commercial, sliding door hardware, all one PO. So that's very attractive to a lot of distributors. I know that to be sure. And plus, Hager is proactive about wanting to play in the big space where you've got the multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporations that own all of these other outfits that compete against each other. Hager wants in on that, as does Dormakaba, whoever that name is now. And I got to tell you, they're certainly trying. There's no doubt about it. Our local rep, he puts the work in, and that loyalty from the Hager client base, I certainly have no problem with, and I'll support them every time I can. There's just no question about it. If you have any questions on the Hager 4923 replacement head case, rim head cover, or any other in satin chrome or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.